So who are you, really? Hi, welcome to 5 Minute Fika, where we find the time to do a little self-care of the soul by thinking about true and beautiful things. Well, a few years ago, I had a career in refugee resettlement. I actually worked in Chicago, and I worked with refugees from all over the world. Most of them were from Eastern Europe, but I also worked with some families from Afghanistan, from Iraq, from the Sudan. It was fascinating. Each of these refugees, they had incredible stories of things that they had gone through. I remember this Afghan gentleman. He had been very accomplished. He was a professor at the university, and he was walking to work one day and happened to see his colleagues floating dead in the river past him. And so he turned around and went right back home, packed everything up, took his family of 9 children, and left. Another gentleman was from Iraq, and he was a journalist, and he was young, but apparently he'd published something he wasn't supposed to, and he'd been taken and beaten in the head with hammers, and you could just see he walked like he was, 80 years older than he actually was because of that. So many painful stories of refugees who, they didn't choose to come to America. They were forced out of their homes. They had to leave everything behind. And can you imagine spending your whole life preparing for a career, and all of a sudden you lose everything? You lose your home, everything you worked for, and you go and now you're working at an entry-level job. You can't speak the language. You have nothing to start with. It's incredible the resilience that these refugees have. When I look at where they are now, it's phenomenal. They have bloomed and blossomed. So many of them are so successful, and it's a beautiful story. When everything you've worked for is suddenly gone, who are you? Identity is something that's, really always fascinated me. And I think it might be because I've moved so much. And I feel like every time I move or every time I do something new, I have to sort of reinvent myself, which is fun, but is also exhausting sometimes. And I realized one time why I felt so restless every time it happened. And I think it's because I felt like I was a tree in winter. In the winter and the leaves are gone, all the trees look the same. They're just tree chunks, and they're all, cookie cutter, and they look exactly the same. And I would feel like nobody knows who I am because my leaves are gone. You don't know who I am and what I can do. And it was very hard, but I had to learn the lesson of it's okay. I will green again. The leaves will come back, and they might look different, and it might be a little different, but I'll green again. And one of the concepts that helped me sort of reconcile this is understanding that really we sort of have this core identity, and then we have a negotiable identity. Our core identity is, where our values are. Our core identity is the thing that never changes, that no matter where I go, no matter what I do, these are the things that are always going to be important to me. These are the things that I'm always going to love. These are the things that I'm going to dig my heels in about. These are the people that I love the most. This is who I am, no matter where I go. Then I think we all sort of have these negotiable identities. And the negotiable identities are, the fact that you're a little bit different at work than you are at home. You're a little bit different with friends than you are with colleagues. You're a little bit different in different situations. We all have these different sides of ourselves. And I think those fall into our negotiable identities. We all have core identities, and we all have negotiable identities. And I think one of the keys to living well is knowing that and then understanding the difference. Because sometimes life will throw you a curveball that you don't expect. Whether it's something that you've spent your life building that's all of a sudden ripped away, or whether something new gets thrown upon you. A new hat to wear, a new identity, a new responsibility, a new place, a new group of people to work with. All sorts of things come into our lives, and it's easy to feel like we lose ourselves. But understanding who you are at the core will help anchor you so that no matter what situation comes into your life, you won't have to worry about feeling like you've lost your leaves. You won't have to worry about feeling invisible or you don't know who you are anymore. Anchor yourself in your core identity. Identify who that is. Love who that is. Because then you can enjoy your negotiable identities, the bits of you that get to change in the different circumstances that you're in. Just like the forest where I go running, the morning light looks very different than the evening light, but both are beautiful in their own way. And in every season, that forest looks different in the summer than it does in the fall, than it does in the winter, than it does in the spring. Each season of that forest's life looks very different, but they're the same trees, and they're the same rocks, and they're the same paths. They're just beautiful in different ways. And that's sometimes what happens to our lives. They're just beautiful in different ways. That's why it's so important to know who you are. Who is your core identity? What are the things that matter the most to you? What are the values that will not change no matter what happens in your life, no matter what new hat you're given to wear? And what are the things that are flexible, that you can play around with, that you can enjoy and change from place to place a little bit? Understanding those two different sides of who you are will help you stay grounded no matter what happens, because you don't have to worry about losing yourself. You will green again. This is really important because this is the only life you've got, and you need to know who you are, because it's good to be alive, and you are not in this alone, and you, my darling, are spectacular. Have a great day.